Hello, I'm Jim Claypool, and welcome to another edition of Northern Lights. Northern Lights, you recall, is the program that focuses upon the people associated with Northern Kentucky University. It could be people who are involved with the administration, staff, faculty, students, people from the community, and of course, people from the Board of Regents as well. The guest today is the president of Northern Kentucky University, Dr. James Votruba. Jim, welcome to the program.
Jim, it's great to be back.
Well, we've done this before 2 or 3 times, and I want to make this a yearly event as we kind of update the university, and each year there's so many things to talk about. But I want to go back a little bit. You came to the university 9 years or so ago. You arrived on campus and announced a program that involved values and vision and voices. And as you look back, do you feel like some of the things that were laid out there have been accomplished, and if so, which ones?
Well, Jim, I think probably of all the things that I've been involved in the last 8 years, probably that may have been the most important. I think the vision, values, and voices process really engaged the university and at the same time engaged the community and allowed the voices of the community and the voices of the university to be heard by each other. And I think it was terrific. I think it helped us focus as a campus. It gave us an opportunity to kind of shift from a focus on deficits, yes, we're underfunded, all those kinds of things, to a focus on assets. This is a dynamic institution, young, yes, but growing in a region that's very dynamic with lots of opportunity. And I think that process got us thinking in a more focused way, probably about what that was going to mean. I think that's led to a whole lot of things. It's led to NKU 8 years later being identified as one of the top 3 or 4 universities in the country in terms of public engagement, building community partnerships, which have been so important not only to the community, but to us. And so I think lots of things have happened, new academic programs, and now a new college, an administrative team that understands kind of where we're headed and the values on which we stand. So I think, by and large, that was a very good process. And so does Harvard, incidentally, because Harvard uses that vision, values, and voices process as a case study on strategic planning for universities.
Of course, we've been usually sending one administrator each year to Harvard, to their institute.
Yeah.
We continue to do that?
We do.
It's very interesting that you brought up this idea of focusing upon our assets rather than our deficiencies, because this region historically always felt it was a neglected region, and that was the lament I always heard growing up in the 50s, 60s, and even coming into the new university when it was established in 1970, that we were the stepchild, that we were overlooked, and that's an interesting thing, but it's really not a very accurate thing. We have had shortcomings, true, in terms of state support, but on the other hand, that's changed, and we are, and really probably began with Governor Nunn, who carried this region, the first Republican to really carry the region, and he put a lot of initiative there, although compared to the rest of the state, obviously far less than what we would have expected, but nonetheless he did that, and that's all tied into it.
Oh, absolutely, Jim. I think there's a recognition in Frankfort today that if Kentucky is going to thrive economically, Northern Kentucky's economy has got to continue to grow. We've got to continue to prosper. For every dollar we send in terms of tax revenue, for every dollar we send to Frankfort, we get back in the region about 64 cents. It means that Frankfort can take this economic engine and help take care of needs not only here but other places. This last spring, we had an historic legislative session for the university and for the region. We are seeing our Northern Kentucky caucus more unified in support of the needs of this region than at any time in anyone's recent memory. And as I said, there's a recognition that not only does our economy have to grow, but in order for that economy to grow, Northern Kentucky University has to continue to grow and mature. What I say to the governor is this: Governor, you're interested in return on investment, and nowhere are your investments going to return more than in our region and in our university, and I should add as well Gateway Community and Technical College.
Of course, that was what you told both Governor Patton and obviously right now Governor Fletcher, and one of the things, again, that helps the fact that this region supported Governor Fletcher strongly, and I'm sure he's quite aware of that. Politics are, after all, politics in Kentucky.
Yes, they are.
They don't go unnoticed. And another interesting thing is, initially, when a person began to think about northern Kentucky, and here we are, we've got Boone County, usually the fastest growing or the second fastest growing county in Kentucky. We've got Kenton County, who was just announced, led the county in job growth, led the whole region in job growth, and also Campbell County with its sprawling development and all the things that are going on there. But that's not all of northern Kentucky. I'm working on the Northern Kentucky Encyclopedia as a co-editor, as you know, and we've defined northern Kentucky as 11 counties. And Northern Kentucky University is reaching out to each of those counties, our service area. And you see, I was just down at Grant County a few weeks ago, and we have a center down there, and people are beginning to look to Northern Kentucky University as the cohesive part of this 11-county service region.
I think you're right, Jim. I think the university is one of those factors that brings the entire region together, maybe the most dominant institution in that regard. We have 400 students down in Grant County, and that started as a part of the Vision, Values, and Voices process. We have classes going on in the other counties. We have students from all, now I don't think of 11 counties, I think of 8, but you've just added 3 more. We're going to have to get to work here, I guess.
Right, absolutely. Well, we've defined it, and that's based on sociological things. It's based upon economic.
Sure.
It's based upon transportation, and we feel fairly confident that that's an accurate assessment. We used all sorts of statistical things to come to that conclusion. But we are touching those counties. One of the most interesting things that ever happened in this university is we put this map up, we may have talked about this before, of Chase Law School, all the different counties in Kentucky that are represented by students at Chase Law School, and we touch every county.
Yeah.
And sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 pins in each of the counties. And of course, the long-term benefit of that, as everyone knows, is many of these people then go to become community leaders. They become involved in politics and various other things.
They end up in Frankfurt.
They end up in Frankfurt, and they have a loyalty. A person cannot put aside the loyalty of their alma mater. It's just something that you feel close to Michigan State, and people who have gone to Chase are going to feel close to Chase College of Law and Northern Kentucky University.
Absolutely, Jim. And how about Chase? Leading the Commonwealth in bar passage rates, winning national competitions. Both their students are winning national competitions. The largest that it's been in recent memory, and also the highest quality students in recent memory. So Chase is doing beautifully.
And that's part of the satisfaction of what you've laid out there. One other thing I was thinking about, we just recently completed our 34th graduation. We usually, putting them all together each semester, upwards to 1,000 or so graduates.
Yeah, 1,300 this spring.
Well, if we multiply that out, that means that somewhere between 30 to 40,000 people have graduated from this institution, many of whom are still in this region.
That's right.
And you get a little more statistically, that means that about 1 out of every 10 of the people living in this region have graduated or have some direct tie to this school.
That's right, Jim. Our assumption is that somewhere in the neighborhood of 90% of our graduates remain in this region. Of course, we have about 28% of our students from north of the river. The rest are from Kentucky. Almost all of our students come from this region as well. So we are very much an engine that drives economic and social progress in this area. It's terrific, and Ken Ramey, Vice President Ramey, tells me that in spring of '08, we're going to have graduation back in Kentucky.
There you go. long overdue. And of course, we used to have it in Regents Hall, as you know, but that was quite a while back. As you look at this and you're assessing these 8, almost 9 years now, going on 9 years.
Actually, yes, that's right. I'm starting my 9th. That's
starting
right.
9th year. I don't want you to forget. There are a lot of things that have happened, obviously. New buildings, new programs, new institutes. But are there 2 or 3 that really stand out in your mind? I think civic engagement, obviously, is one
Well,
of them.
civic engagement is huge, Jim. I think the new science building is huge. The students would say the parking garages are quite important as well, but I think programmatically the emergence of some really terrific academic. We've always had good academic programs here. As a matter of fact, what's happened here the last 8 years, in my view, is that public recognition of the university and its quality has caught up with reality. I mean, this is the challenge. There's an old saw that a university's reputation lags behind it by about a decade. And I think, in a sense, because we are still so young, that's caught up. We are, when I look at the new institutes and centers, SINSAM, the Institute for Freedom Studies, Institute for Applied Ecology, the Fifth Third Entrepreneurship Institute, the Scripps Howard Center for Civic Engagement, an awful lot of interaction across disciplines, and an awful lot of interaction between departments and centers and institutes and the larger community. I'm very proud of those things. Now, I want to mention one other thing, though. Board of Regents, as you know, a week or two ago, approved the renaming of the old science building, Founders Hall. And Provost Wells and I are getting together with faculty members from that generation, those who came here and built this very special place, because what we want to do is we want to capture that spirit from that group that came in the early 70s and create a plaque that not only celebrates that achievement, but also challenges the next generations to serve those values.
I'm glad to hear that, of course, having been one of those.
That's right, absolutely.
As you well know, but it's something we talked about, some form of recognition, because these people, as you well know, gave of their life and their talents, and now some of them have retired, and they're out in the community, and they still are very, very strong supporters of this university. One of the things that I was quite interested in, and it's somewhat controversial, obviously, is the fact that from time to time we have to increase tuition, but one of the caveats to that is because we had to increase tuition this time, and I might add that our tuition is kind of in the middle when you relative to all the other state schools, and amounts really to some Ivy League schools a deposit. A little more
that's
than
right.
that.
Yeah.
But you were able then to project the hiring of some 16 new faculty.
Well, we've had a priority on hiring full-time tenure-track faculty. We got, in my view, we got too dependent on part-time, non-tenure track faculty. These people play a very important role on our campus, but we needed to rebalance. So 13.7% tuition increase, 7.5% of that, Jim, was both the students' decision to pay for the student union, 2.5% part of that tuition, and then a 5% increase last year and this year to support an academic quality and capacity initiative, to invest in programs that are important to students in the community.
Right. Well, we need to take a break now, Dr.
Yep,
Votruba, but I want to come back and I want to talk about what a typical week for the president is all about. This program is Northern Lights. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. We're glad you could stay with us. And the program, of course, is Northern Lights, and I'm Jim Claypool. Our guest today is the president of Northern Kentucky University, Dr. James Votruba, and we were talking before the break about some of the programs that have gone on here, the fact that the tuition raise, which was just initially approved by the Board of Regents, also has all kinds of sub-themes to it, support of the student union, and, of course, the fact that we're going to be able to hire new faculty. And one of the things I want to talk about is what's it like being the president of a university? I cheated a little bit. I called your office. I just wanted to see what your calendar was like this week. You have 32 scheduled meetings this week. Lord knows how many unscheduled meetings. You normally work from 7 in the morning till anywhere from 9 or 10 at night. What's this like, Dr. Votruba?
Well, Jim, it's pretty time-consuming. That's what it's like. I'll tell you what. This is great work. This is the most satisfying, challenging, rewarding work that I've ever done in my life. It is consuming. There's no doubt about that. It is on any university campus. The combination of inside responsibilities and outside responsibilities, and of course, I'm now chairing this Vision 2015 that is a regional planning process for the entire region. And that takes a lot of time as well. But I'll get away this summer. Rachel and I will get up. We have a place up in northern Michigan where we go, and now our children and grandchildren come, and they'll be up there for a while. We've got a wedding up there this summer. But I'll tell you what, Jim, this campus is so special, and the work is so special. Think about it. I mean, you know this as well as I. Decisions that you made as a faculty member and an administrator, decisions that I make as an administrator, have the ability to influence and support the dreams of an awful lot of students and our entire community. And that's what more can there be in life than to do important work that benefits others? And that's kind of what motivates me. I think it's the best job in America.
What I like about that thought is the fact that maybe some of our graduates, and so many of our graduates are still here working in the area. They are now at mid-level management positions. Some of them own companies, but maybe there are older people running various businesses. This is the future leadership of Northern Kentucky, and we provided this pool of great talent.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Jim. Think about this for a moment. 85% of the teachers in P-12 education in Northern Kentucky, in those 11 counties, are produced right here. Talk about a responsibility. We produce more IT graduates than any other university in the Commonwealth. So they're out there, they're software developers, they're computer scientists, they're all the things that are needed in knowledge-based industries to help promote this economy. Nurses. We had the misfortune this spring of our daughter delivered prematurely, and the baby didn't survive. The physician was an NKU grad, undergrad. 2 of the 3 nurses that were taking care of our daughter were NKU grads. Other personnel over at St. E's, we couldn't have had better attention, either medical or the kind of emotional attention that a young woman needs when she's going through this. And so every time I turn around, I'm seeing the products of our work here. And that's true for you as well. That's what makes this work special. I have a mentor who's now in his 90s, and he never talked he was a president of 3 universities. He never described it. He said, work doesn't describe my relationship with what I do. He said, I think of it more as a calling. I don't know if calling is the right word for me, but it means a great deal to me to do the work that I do and to see the product of our collective work and its impact on this region. It's just spectacular.
Well, I think you'll find as you talk to these people who are going to be involved with the naming of the founders and explore the motives of why they're here and why they've stayed, calling will be the word that often surfaces. And
Yep.
Along those lines, you talk about that. Several years ago, I had an episode of what they call TMJ, which is a disorder of the jaw. It's out of line. And I went to the doctor, and he said, well, I need to run a test. We need to shoot some dye in the back of your ear and check it out and so on. And that didn't make me feel too happy. But anyway, we went over to St. Elizabeth, and I was laying on the gurney there, ready with great trepidation to see what happened next, because if it didn't work out, they were going to have to put a special brace on and so on. And I was about half asleep there, and here comes this nice young lady, and she said, oh, Dr. Claypool. And I said, yes. She said, I saw your name on the admissions, and I just wanted to come thank you, because back in 1972, I was entering the nursing program. I didn't know what I wanted to do. You took a special interest in me, helped me get registered, helped me through, and I just wanted to thank you. And, you know, that really, really heartens you.
Oh, it does, Jim. I mean, when you think about the impact that faculty members and staff members have on the lives of these students, and beyond this campus, both through our students and through the kind of public engagement we're involved in, this region is a different place because of this university, and it's a privilege to serve it.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, because this is one of the ongoing topics, of course, and that's the issue of athletics. But I want to preface
Division One.
Division One. But I want to preface it by saying that Northern Kentucky University has a unique place now in NCAA history with our women's softball team,
yes,
who are preparing to enter the Great Lakes tournament as we talk today. But more importantly, they have the longest winning streak of any NCAA softball team. I guess you're aware of that, of course.
Oh, Jim, yeah. This last weekend they won the Great Lakes Conference title. They start the NCAA today and will go through Sunday. Fabulous. I mean, these young women are demonstrating athletic excellence at the highest level, and so that our viewers understand, this 50-game winning streak is the best at any level in the NCAA. They broke Arizona's record that was 47 or 48 games.
Right, and that's just absolutely amazing. Never would we have envisioned this when I started athletics back in '72, as you recall. And
it's fabulous.
Yeah, we wanted the women to be on an equal footing, and they're on more than an equal footing.
They're right there. They sure are.
But let's talk a little bit about what's going on. And obviously, the decision has not been made. We've just got a very important commitment to sponsor and then to build this new arena, which is more than an athletic facility. It's many, many things. And the topic of Division I has come up. And what are you doing? What's the process that's going on right now?
Jim, what we're doing now is studying that question in as many different ways as we can. We're doing what many would call a 360 view of Division I. I mean, there's some advantages in terms of institutional branding, the visibility not only of intercollegiate athletics but of the university in general. We're the only university in Kentucky other than Kentucky State that is not in Division I. We would be easily competitive with other Division I schools. We're a top 30 media market. The question for me is this. To go Division I is costly, both in terms of facilities and operating increases. The question is, does going Division I assist us in going and support us in going the direction that the entire institution is going? For example, is it going to help us recruit and retain outstanding students? Will students make a choice based on Division I versus Division II? Will it contribute to overall quality of life? Will it engage the community in a way that otherwise might not be the case? The only way that I could justify going Division I would be if we concluded that that move is going to assist with the direction that the campus is going. Is it going to support our core academic mission? Is it going to tie us in different ways to the community? We would have to spend about $14 million in facilities updates. Now, but here's the question. You build those facilities for intercollegiate athletics, but you also use them for summer camps to get youngsters on the campus. We need more high school students in Northern Kentucky going on to college, being successful in college. Does it help to bring elementary and middle school kids to campus for those facilities? So those are the kind of questions that we're going to raise. Division I has opportunity, but it also has costs. And we're still a young institution. This is not a move that we could make immediately. Let me be clear on that. We're not, in terms of facilities or operating support, we're not where we need to go Division I, because you don't go Division I unless you can compete. I mean, you have to win. This is a competitive world, but athletics in our country and in our region are important. And so those are the considerations that I'm involved in right now.
And of course, you've begun to reach out. You're doing surveys. You're sounding all interested parties. You're looking at it in a rational and intelligent approach. And looking back a little bit, I think about when we used to play Xavier, and they had a football program which they dropped, and then they actually decided to go big time. Basketball. That's primarily the Division I sport they excel in.
And that's where we'd be.
Yeah, and they excelled in it. They did very, very well. On the other hand, you look at some of the schools we used to play that were Division II, Youngstown, Cleveland State, just two that come to mind, and they have struggled. Wright State, which was a Division II power, has not really succeeded. So there are a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses and a lot of pitfalls in all of this, and I'm sure you're quite aware of that.
It is. It is. I expect to review this with the Board of Regents in July, give them my best sense of things at that point. At that point, we'll have the Carr and Associates are doing the feasibility study for us. They're doing a great job, gave us a terrific report just recently, or draft of a report. PricewaterhouseCoopers is doing a survey of the region. So we'll have a lot of information over this next month or so to make a recommendation.
Now, let's talk a little bit about just the last thing I got. There's so many things to talk about, but I want you participate in something that I don't know if I'm using the right term or not. It's basically a college for university presidents.
I do.
Tell us something about that as the last thing we're talking about today.
Well, Jim, one of the most important things that I did when I was getting ready to come to NKU was participate in the American Association of State Colleges and Universities sponsors a New President's Academy. They take rookies who have just been appointed and give them some insight into what they can expect and how to think about strategic planning and leadership and organizational change and budgeting and all the things that presidents have to think about. And of course, most of these folks are first-time presidents. They may have been provosts or deans or whatever, but it's not quite the same. And so I teach in this program. This will be my second year teaching in the program. We'll be out in Vail, Colorado, a nice place to meet with the new presidents. We'll spend a week with them out there. I will focus with them on strategic planning and on innovation and change, how you manage kind of change in a dynamic environment of a university, and share some stories and do what I can to help them be successful. It was very important for me. It gave me a great perspective.
What immediately comes to mind, of course, as we close out here, is the networking that provides this university nationwide as new college presidents come on. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program, Dr. Votruba. I know you've got a meeting to go to, but
one of 38, Jim.
as usual. Well, that's our program for today. Be sure to join us next time for another edition of Northern Lights. And remember, Northern Kentucky University is your university.